Hello and welcome to Bat Knit Crazy. My name is Maggie and today's good mood is sponsored by knitting. How long has it been, friend? I have missed you. I have thought about you. There's so many things that I want to tell you. First off, welcome to my channel if you are new here, and welcome back if you have been here with me before. I am delighted to have you here and I hope that your day is going well. If not, I hope it is getting better. It has been way too long since you and I have spoken, and there's so much I want to tell you about, but I don't want this to be 40 hours long. So we are going to do some catch up on some things that I talked about in the last episode, which granted was 2 years ago. So there has been a lot of knitting since then. We're not going to go through all of it because that would literally take forever. But I do want to catch you up on a couple things that I sort of left you hanging on in the last episode, and we'll touch on the other ones that I don't have here with me today in a future episode. But I do want to catch you up on a couple of things, and then I need your help with a problem. And we will get to that in a little bit. But let's get into it. I have a couple of finished objects from the last episode from 2 years ago. And please bear in mind, I am in the Midwest. It is super, super hot. So my apologies if you can hear any fan noises. I do have the ceiling fan in here on full blast. I have a little Beyonce fan over here that is blowing on me. That's part of why my hair's not down, because it would just be blowing everywhere, but it is so incredibly hot. So we're going to do the trying on of sweaters very, very quickly to get that done with, because yeah, it is hot and it is humid. And I know it is nowhere near as bad here as it is probably in a lot of other places, maybe even where you are. So I hope you are surviving the summer okay, and that your knitting is not suffering because you don't want to have things on your lap because it's too freaking hot. So first finished object that I want to catch you up on since the last episode is my very V-neck raglan. I did finish this shortly after that I finished the episode that I told you about. It is super, super cute. It is very low cut, but that's okay. It's not too revealing, I don't think. So I will try this on for you so you can see exactly what it looks like. So give me just a second and we will do a quick change. So here it is, my very V-neck raglan. It is pretty low. I won't deny that. Let me stand up so you can get the whole picture here. I think it turned out super cute. It is not as warm as you might think it would be, because it is that bamboo yarn. So it does actually breathe very well. I love the way the bottom edging and the V-neck and the cuffs turned out with just the solid color. I think it's a super cute detail. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. The armpits are very low. So if I raise my arms, you will see my belly. We're not gonna do that, but I think it turned out super cute. Super, super cute. If I was wearing this to go out, I probably would have a tank top underneath it, just because the neck, even with the ribbing, is pretty wide. And while I can position it so that it is just where it needs to be, which way is which, it is pretty low. I will not deny that. And this yarn is very, very stretchy. So I would have a tank top under this if I was going to wear it out, but for just around the house on a casual day, sorry, I have a little monitor down here. I'm trying to make sure that it looks okay. But yeah, on a regular day, just around the house, I think it's super, super cute. So I'm very happy with that. That is the very V-neck raglan by Jessie Maed Designs. And yeah, so I did finish it. I did finish it. I have actually worn it out of the house because it's been 2 years essentially since I finished this. So it has gotten some wear, probably not quite as much as the blue one that has the scoop neck, the Tolsta tee that I talked about. But I do like this one a lot, and hopefully this season I will get even more wear out of it. So let's quick change back into the t-shirt, because Holy smokes, it is cozy in here. Okay, much better. Much, much better. Okay, the other item that I wanted to talk to you about that is a still unfinished object from the last time we spoke is this pillow cover that I was making using leftover yarn that I had left over from making the shift wrap by Andrea Mowry. So this has not even, it's not even been blocked. I put it together and I think I might have bound it a little bit too tight because the middle seam is very, very tight. But essentially, here is what one side looks like. Unblocked, clearly, because it is, I may have to take them apart and put them back together a little more stretchy. Oh, we're getting a kitty friend. I don't know if Sherlock will hop up and say hello, but he's just wandered in. Oh, yep, and here he comes. Hi, Sherlock. Look, Sherlock, it's our friend. It's our friend. We haven't seen him in forever. He just wants to be on the desk. He will probably decide that he wants to sit down. Right in camera view, won't you? He loves this window. So I obviously reorganized a little bit in here because you used to just be looking at these shelves right behind me. So I've reorganized a bit and now I am in front of the window and he loves this window. So we'll see. As long as he doesn't dunk his tail in my coffee, I think we are good. So anyway, this is the one side of the pillow cover that I made. And then I did go in and do a striped cover for the other side. This, since it is stockinette and it is just one big square, it is actually, sorry, it's garter stitch. Been too long since I talked to anybody about this. Since it is garter stitch, it does have a lot of stretch to it in all directions. So I think it will be fine. I should be able to block these to the same size pretty easily. Right now, the solid square is looking quite a bit smaller, but again, it's garter stitch. It will easily stretch without, I think, looking too overstretched. But I still haven't done that. I still have not done that. So this is still in the to be finished, but this is actually, this doesn't really go with the colors in any of the rooms of my house currently. So this has kind of been a lower priority just because I don't know where I will put it when I'm done. It was mostly just a way of using up that scrap fabric, scrap yarn that I had left over after doing that cowl. So I do think it's super cute. I'm sure I will find a place for it. It may even end up in this room. I have an armchair off camera that I like to sit in and knit. Haven't done nearly as much of that as I want to, but I do like to sit up here and knit. On a side note, I just today realized that apparently while there is an intake for the air conditioning in this room, there are no vents in this room. I could not figure out for the longest time why this room gets so hot, because it's above finished space. It's on the second floor, and what's below is finished space. So it's not like it's over the garage or something where there's less insulation. Like, I couldn't figure it out. And then just before I started filming, I walked in here and I went, where are the vents in that room? Yeah, there are no vents in this room. That's the problem. Yeah, although weirdly, this window that I'm sitting in front of faces north, so it doesn't get direct light in it at all, which is why I thought it would be a great place to sit and talk to you, because I get natural light, but it's not going to be glaring. But at the same time, there's not a lot of like heat coming in from lighting, you know, from the sunlight that comes in. So I don't know why this room doesn't get cold in the winter. It doesn't. It seems like this room is perpetually hot. Anyway, moving on. So this has been a lower priority, but I just wanted to catch you up. I did finish both sides, and it's still not put together as a cushion. But that may be just a little one afternoon when I feel like seaming. I decide to put this together. I do have, I just saw it. It still isn't blocked. I have the worst habit of finishing things especially if they're not sweaters, because I'm primarily a sweater knitter. I love to make things that I can wear. So I'm pretty good about getting my sweaters blocked. However, other things, especially things like shawls, I'm just not as good at blocking them because I'm not as good at wearing them. I really need to go in and watch some like styling videos of how to wear a wrap or a scarf or you know, a triangle shawl or things like that. I see people wear them and it looks so beautiful on them, and I've never been able to figure out how that works. But I just see, just off camera, another item that I had talked about that is still not blocked, still does not have the ends woven in, but I did finish my Muppet shawl, which I think is super cute. Am I a warm color, red, orange kind of person? Not really, but I loved that this particular yarn set that I got, which was a Miss Babs set, it was called Beat Drums. It's based on the colors of Animal, who from, you know, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. I love Animal. He's fantastic. And so I thought the colors were so fun. But yeah, it has not been blocked. As you can see, I have not woven in the ends. So that is still to do. But I am happy with how it came out. I need to get it blocked, get the ends woven in, and then maybe I can figure out this fall when it actually starts to get cool, how I can best wear this, because I probably would not make a sweater in these colors just because they're not really my colors. They don't do a lot for me. I tend to have very pink cheeks, and when I wear a lot of oranges and yellows and things, it just doesn't work as well for me. I am a cool tone and jewel tone girl. But since it's just a shawl, I think it'll be fine. So I just happened to see that out of the corner of my eye, and I wanted to catch you up on that. And again, like I had said in the last episode, you do one side and then you do the other side, and then in the middle is where the magic happens. And you can see these lovely, one of the yarn sets was, I believe, called Rainbow Connection. For all you Muppet fans out there, you know what that is. But these sort of little bridges between the sections were intended to look sort of like rainbows, which I just think is super fun. So Muppet shawl completed, not done and dusted, but it is, the knitting on it is done. I did also want to update you on my loop blanket. I did finish that quite a while ago. However, what I will say is I learned from doing that if you are making individual squares, it's a good idea to weave the ends in as you go. I will insert a picture of the loop blanket all completed. You might be able to see in the pictures some strings hanging out. Yeah, the ends have never gotten woven in. Shortly after I finished knitting that blanket and getting all of the squares put together, I did get some of the ends put in, but my cats, there are 4 cats in case you are new, and I think another one is coming in. Yes, we have another one approaching. I have 4 cats, all named after Sherlock Holmes characters. Obviously, Sherlock is sitting on the desk, just out of camera. Moriarty is coming to join us. But the cats decided that the loop blanket was just absolutely the best place to take a nap. Oh my gosh, Mommy, this is the best thing you've ever given us. This is amazing. And so it has gotten placed over an ottoman that's right up against a window where the cats love to hang out and watch the birds in the backyard. So that's where it lives. And the ends are still not woven in, but it is now covered in cat hair. And it is well loved, and it looks really nice in the room. So it works very well. So that is the update on the loop blanket. However, what I will say is my addiction to squares has continued, because last year I decided that I was going to try again and do another one. And I spent quite a bit of time on Pinterest looking at quilt patterns, because essentially when you are doing these squares that are 2 triangles, and one is one color and one is another color, or you can do a solid color square, that's how some quilting is done. So there are a lot of quilt patterns that just essentially use these squares or these triangles to form their shapes. And so I decided I was going to do another blanket because these squares, I'm telling you, they are addictive. So last year I completed this blanket. Let me back up so I can show you the whole thing. So this is the blanket that I completed last year. I think it is so pretty. I love the pattern of it. And literally this was just a question of figuring out how many squares there were that were solid colors, because there are quite a few, how many are combinations of colors in triangles, figuring out how much yarn I would need. This is a very heavy blanket, I will say. This one, I will show you the back, does have the ends woven in. It does have the ends all woven in. There's the back for proof. But I wove them in as I went, as I completed every square, which made the whole process a lot easier. So anyway, this is the new blanket that I completed last year that I absolutely adore. And I think it's been folded up sitting in the living room. And I think what I'm going to do is just plop it over the armchair that's in here, because it is super cozy and cute. Although, as previously stated, it's really hot right now. So that might wait for another time. But I did want to share that with you as well, because I'm really proud of that blanket. I think it turned out really, really cute. And I love the pattern, and I keep going back to it. I want to show you one more finished object, but my square addiction continues. So we'll get there. We'll get there. But I do want to share one more finished object that you don't even know about. Earlier this year, I was very lucky and I was able to visit Ireland, where I had been once previously, but my husband and I did get the opportunity to go to Dublin, and we went to Waterford and Cork, and it was such a wonderful time. I did visit Hedgehog Fibers, which is based in Cork. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. No, I didn't get to see how they dye their yarns, but they did have a wonderful stock to choose from to purchase. And the ladies who worked there were so kind and so wonderful. If you ever happen to be in County Cork, I would highly recommend that you go there. I also visited Carol Feller's yarn store called Stolen Stitches, which was great. Great selection there. And I do have a sweater quantity of one of her yarns that I picked up while I was there, as well as some other single skeins. I tried very hard to limit what I acquired, since I am primarily a sweater knitter, but I don't need, like, you can't really see very well, but this entire area is all like self-created projects that I have. It's either a sweater quantity of something, but no, I haven't figured out what pattern I'm going to do yet, or it is mostly sweaters. There's a few accessories in there, but mostly sweater patterns, sweater quantities with the sweater pattern already picked out that I just haven't started yet. So I need an entire room just for sweater wardrobe. I keep making sweaters and I don't have anywhere to put them. But I did try to limit to like one sweater quantity, not multiple sweater quantities where I went. Also visited This Is Knit, which is an incredibly cute store in a really neat shopping center in Dublin. I was surprised there actually weren't more yarn stores in the areas of Ireland that I was in. I was really surprised by that. But we visited This Is Knit, which was just absolutely charming. I don't remember the name of the building. I want to say it was like Power Court House, Townhouse, something like that. It was an old Georgian manor house, I believe. Don't quote me, I'm going from memory. But it had once been a house. Beautiful grand house with this huge like winter garden atrium area in the middle, that has now been turned into the cutest shopping center where, like the dining room and the bedrooms and things have become like stores. They're all different stores. And there's a restaurant in the courtyard in the middle. And it's such a delight. It's such a beautiful little area to be in. And This Is Knit was just a wonderful store. They were incredibly kind. I picked up some really cute things there. So long story, not short. I have a weird thing about me that is every time I'm going somewhere, going on a big trip, I want to knit things specifically for that trip. I actually ended up knitting 3 sweaters specifically for the trip to Ireland. And I want to share with you the one that I wore the most. The other 2 I did wear and I adored wearing, but they both ended up getting little stains on them. So I think in a future episode, we may try removing the stains. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I don't want to end up felting anything. I don't want to end up damaging the knit, but they both have a little spot, like right in the mouth of my little son. Tried really hard not to let that happen, but it did. However, the 3rd sweater was actually the one that I wore the most, and I had a feeling that it would. It is called the Berlin Soft Sweater, which has been on my list to knit forever. Let me check really quick who it is by. It is by Meiju Kallio. I will put a link to the pattern in the show notes. But I've wanted to knit it forever. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. And I decided that this was a perfect opportunity to make this sort of dream sweater for myself. So it is a cardigan, so I can put it on over my t-shirt. Rotate my chair a little bit. So this is the Berlin Soft Sweater. The only thing, I think I bound off the shawl collar. It has an I-cord bind off, and I think I may have bound it off a bit too tight around the back of the neck. But I just thought the cable pattern, first of all, it has these amazing pockets, but I thought the cable pattern was absolutely beautiful. I just love it. You can tell I got a lot of wear out of it because the sleeves have pilled a lot. So I need to get those off of there. And then on this sweater, for the buttons, these are actually little tiny pieces, little thin shavings of a branch that was, that we cut out of a tree in our backyard. And my husband cut it into these thin pieces and drilled holes for me to have some buttons. So these are actually buttons from a tree in the backyard of my house. But the cable pattern is beautiful. It's super cozy. It hangs really nicely if it's open. It's also big enough that if I even need to bundle up, which I did a few times because it got very chilly or rainy, I could, sort of bundle it up, or I could leave it buttoned. I mean, I'm so happy with this sweater. And if you go to the project in Ravelry, I will also link my Ravelry information down below. I am Maggie GB. Oh, here comes Sherlock. Are you done at the window? Apparently he's done. Or I'm talking too much and he doesn't want to listen to me anymore. Also entirely possible. But yeah, there's a couple of pictures of me wearing this sweater in various places around Ireland. But I'm telling you, this was such, I don't want to say it was a labor of love, because I don't even feel like it was a labor. Like, it was so fun. The cables were so engaging. The pockets were so fun to do, which sounds so strange to say, but really they were super fun. Yeah, I'm so happy with this. I'm over the moon. I do need to shave it because there are a lot of pills. I'm trying to remember what yarn I used for this, because of course I didn't actually put that in Ravelry for the first time in a long time. I don't remember. I want to say it was Blue Sky Worsted. If it wasn't that, it was very similar to that. But yeah, I'm delighted with how this turned out. This will undoubtedly get a lot of wear, just, you know, around the house in the winter. If it's chilly, this has sort of become my new throw it on over whatever I'm wearing. But right now I'm roasting. So yeah, this is, we're done with this one. We are done with this one for now. But yeah, super, super happy with how that one turned out. Okay, so I do have a little work in progress that's not, it's really sort of a when I need to keep my hands busy, or if I'm going to be going somewhere and I don't want to take a big project with me. Like just recently I went to take my car in for an oil change, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be sitting at the dealership for like an hour, right, to get the oil changed and the tires rotated and everything. Don't really want to take a big project because it's going to be warm. Don't want stuff sitting on my lap. So what did I do? I am back to more squares. Yay! I am trying to use up scraps of things. So I have basically gone through my scraps. I've actually weighed out how much of each color each of the squares is using. And with these, I am also holding a mohair, which is the front side. This is the front side. So I'm actually also holding mohair with these. So for these squares, this is actually the yarn that's being used for this section. But I'm actually holding the leftover mohair from my ranunculus, which I will show you. It's all done. But I am not putting on a mohair sweater in July. I love you, but no. We will look at that in a future episode. But that was completed, and so I was using the leftover mohair. I actually ran out of it. This was the last square that I did, and I ran out of the mohair here. So there's a little bit at the very tip of this one that does not have the mohair. It's just the purple. But yeah, so this is the multicolor, and then this is the light purple that I had left over. So I have completed 4 of the dark purple squares. I am on this is the same base yarn as this one. Turn it this way so you can see. Okay, so these are both the same base yarn. The only difference is the mohair that I'm holding with it. So I don't have any more of the dark purple mohair to show you, but you can tell this one is significantly darker than this one. And for these lighter ones, I am using, hold on, let me grab it, this leftover mohair, which is much closer to the color of the solid section. So it's making these look very, very different. It's entirely possible that you would think that the fingering weight yarn that I'm using for these is different because the mohair makes such a difference. So I am currently working on, I am halfway through my 4th pale set of squares. And then I have also made 1 so far of this tealy color. You may notice I have not woven in the ends on these yet. I have not taken my own advice yet, but I do plan to get all these ends woven in before these squares really start to pile up, because as previously noted, it's a whole lot easier if you do that. But my plan is to create windmills, the windmill pattern, kind of like this. So each set of 4 squares will end up getting laid out like this. Although obviously these will all be the same color, and then you'll have the multicolor in those sections. So, and then the plan is we'll do a blanket with these, which will be a very fuzzy blanket. This will undoubtedly be the new favorite cat spot. I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever. But these are just little fun. They take me about a little over an hour a piece. If I'm really moving, I can get one an hour done. So got 1 done while I had my oil changed. I've gotten a few done, you know, sitting in bed, you know, before I go to sleep at night. So, you know, when I'm having my coffee in the morning, I'll work on one a little bit before work. So it's a really easy thing to pick up and put down. One of the tricks that I've come up with, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but with this pattern, this is based on the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose, which I absolutely love. And no, my actual Sweet Shop blanket, where I'm following all the instructions for join as you go, I haven't touched it. It is actually sitting in a bucket, in a bin, right over by the armchair in this room, waiting to be picked up. That is going to wait for winter for me to pick that back up again, because it is just too hot to have a blanket sitting on my lap. But I am doing these individual squares using the same pattern that she uses basically for the initial square that you use. And the increases are done on the right side rows. The decreases are done on the wrong side rows. So what I do is, shortly after I get this started, I do have to focus a little bit. There have been a few times where I'm just starting one and then I forget which is the right side, which is the wrong side. I can't necessarily see my increases, especially with the mohair. It does fuzz the stitches a little bit as well. But I put a little stitch marker, a little removable stitch marker on the right side so that I know as I'm increasing, if the stitch marker's on that side, I do the increases. If not, I just knit across according to pattern. And then once I start the decrease rows, I've moved the stitch marker to the wrong side, and then it's the same thing. If the stitch marker is there, I do my special thing, my decreases in that case. And if it isn't, then you just knit across. So that has made it so much more brainless, essentially, because then I don't even have to try to think, am I on the right side? Am I on the wrong side? And it just makes the process easier for me. So my square addiction is continuing. Don't know how big it will end up being. I have a lot of scraps. I'm also using some things that I maybe only have one skein of, or, you know, I've lost the label, I don't really know, or I have 50 grams of it. And because I'm primarily a sweater knitter and I don't really do a lot of socks, although I do want to make some more socks this season. Sorry, next season. I'm not going to do sock knitting right now. But I do want to do that, but I have so many single skeins, because when you go to a yarn store or a fiber festival or, you know, anything like that, and you see the beautiful yarn, you think, I want to get one of these. And then you end up having a whole bunch of single skeins that may or may not actually really go well with anything else. So I'm trying to use up some stash, is what I'm saying, and some scraps doing this blanket. So yeah, I have no idea how long it will take. It's a very sort of, I just feel like knitting something that I don't have to think about right now project, or a little let me throw it in my bag because it doesn't take a lot of space. And I can take it and have it with me for, you know, sitting and waiting at the doctor's office, or getting your oil changed, or, you know, anything like that. So that has taken up residence in this little bag. And yeah, so that's my current obsession with squares. All right, so now, totally new section of our conversations. I have a problem. Let me take a little sip of coffee before I tell you about my problem. Okay, I have a problem. I have too many whips. Probably unsurprisingly, I have accumulated over the years a very large number of whips that have ended up sitting around, being put down and forgotten for no apparent reason. I don't really know why this has happened, but it has. You may notice there is a tower behind me, right here, with a lot of project bags hanging from it. This is 20 of my works in progress. There are a few more, but there are a few more that I have decided not to include in this tower for various reasons. Primarily because I think I'm probably going to end up frogging them, and I didn't want to focus on those. I want to focus on the ones that I actually want to get done. So there are 20 in this tower that are each in their own project bag, and numbered. And so what we're going to do every week, and this is you becoming my accountability buddy, is I am going to take this 20-sided die and roll it into this little rolling mat. And we are going to see what project I'm going to work on for the next week. Now, before I actually roll the die and pick the projects and tell you about them, I do want to say I have some travel coming up in the next week and a half, where I will be in the car for a while, and then we will be at my in-laws. They are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to them. But we are going down to visit them in the St. Louis area. And so I will have extra time for knitting. So I'm actually going to pick out 2 works in progress this week, and I'll tell you about them, what they are. I do have my list in my handy dandy notebook. I have my list of what all of them are and when I started them. So there are some in here that are going years back. And then there are others that have been started much more recently. So let's roll the die for the first time and see what we are going to end up with. Number 5. We're going with number 5. So let me grab number 5. All right, number 5. Here we are. Okay, let's see. Oh, this is probably the oldest one that I have here. Number 5. This is a super cute, I wish this company still existed. This is a super cute bag. I have a bunch of bags from them, from Slipped Stitch Studios, which I just think is so cute. Little Ouija board fabric. But number 5, let's get in here. Okay, this is a pattern by Kelene Kinnersly, as I look at my list, for a shawl called Promiscuous Stripes. If we can focus. Maybe. Oh my goodness, I'm shaky. Can I hide? I'm not good at this, just in case you hadn't figured that out. Anyway, it is called Promiscuous Stripes. There is my handy dandy post-it note that I put on where I finished. This is actually the oldest project that I am aware of that I still have that is not completed. I don't actually know when I started this because I didn't put it on Ravelry at the time. But this was probably started 10 years ago. And it has literally just been sitting in a bag forever. So here's where we are right now. I am using some of my own yarn. For those of you who don't know, I have a yarn brand called Wool of Bat that will talk in a future episode, but I'm thinking about changing around how I do Wool of Bat. So we'll get there in a future episode. But this is yarn that I dyed. This was part of a Wizard of Oz collection that I did years and years ago. And this is where I am right now. So I think I'm actually getting relatively close. Let's see. Where am I? I don't actually even know if this is the whole pattern. I think maybe it is. I'm going to have to look this up. Oh yeah, according to the chart on page 3. Okay, and then bind it off. Okay, so yes, I am halfway through with the rows, but of course, because of the nature of this, it gets bigger every row. So essentially, it's just garter stitch, and it's just, you do this many rows in this color, and then you switch to another color, and then you do that, and then you switch back and then back and forth, and you're just doing stripes in garter stitch. So this is actually, I'm gonna need to review the pattern and see how the increases are done. But yeah, this is gonna be so easy. This is great car knitting. This was a really, really good choice. I feel that the die is being very lucky to me. Very, very good. But like I said, this is Wizard of Oz yarn that I did. This one was called Emerald City, this green, and then the black is actually not solid black, and I don't like these plastic things anymore. That's how long ago I did this. I'm not a big fan of these plastic net things. I used it to keep the yarn together, but I don't really need to do this. So this green, or this black that I did, you can see it actually has little bits of green in it every once in a while. So it's not actually solid black. And it is the same green as the Emerald City green. So these two, I bet I can get this done because this is perfect car knitting. I mean, absolutely perfect. Okay, so the pattern was in the bag, so we're gonna put the pattern back in the bag, and then I'm gonna pick a little removable stitch marker that I can put on and mark my place where I am. So let's grab a stitch marker, and we will grab one actually that says right side, because that will be helpful to me. So I'm gonna put this on sort of in the middle, right where I am. Okay, so next time we talk, let's see how far I have come from where that stitch marker is. All right, and we'll put some needle stoppers on this too, just because I was not great about that in the past. So we will, these are Knit Picks needles. I haven't used Knit Picks needles in a very long time. Very long time. I've become a bit of a needle snob, although I do have several brands that I like, and I don't mind the Knit Picks needles. At least when I was buying them 10 years ago, they were really good starter needles. Pretty good value for money, and some of them had nice sharp tips, and yeah, smooth joins, no complaints. All right, so this is the first project that we will be doing this week. All right, let's see what the next one is gonna be. So roll our die. Number 2. All right, let's grab number 2. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting. All right, this bag, this is another bag I really, really love. This is by Heidi West Designs on Etsy. I have a bunch of her bags. I think they're so cute, and they're really sturdy and really, really nice bags. All right, but anyway, so this project is one that I started in, let me look at my list, September 3rd of last year. So it's been about, what is that, 10 months or so since I started this. This is Mabel's sweater by Locatelli. And this is based on a sweater that Selena Gomez's character wears in Only Murders in the Building. And I don't remember what the name of the stitch is. I don't know if it's like fisherman's rib or half fisherman's rib. I honestly don't know. But it looks really small. But again, there's so much stretch to this. And I have, I believe, tried this on before I split for sleeves. And I think it was good. My memory is that this was good. I do have a little marker here to show that this is the back, because I was getting a little bit confused about when I was, yeah, I did try it on, definitely, because I have that stitch marker there to go, this is the back. So yeah, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's beautiful. I love the stitch pattern that's going on here. I love it. I think it's so pretty. And of course, since it's ribbing, it's really stretchy. And this yarn that I'm using is super soft and fluffy. This is Camper by Kelburn Woolens, 50 grams, 200 yards. The color that I'm using is called Meadow. And it's just this really nice, soft, plushy, I believe it is just wool. It's not, yeah, 100% wool. It's not superwash. It's just regular old wool, but the color on here, I just absolutely fell in love with. If it would focus. It won't focus. The color I'm just absolutely in love with. If there's no writing there, can you focus? Will you focus? No, it won't. I'm sorry. Maybe if I put it right next to my face. Will it focus? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm trying to film this on my phone instead of using my camera, so who knows? But anyway, so this is, I've got all the yarn in here. This is where I am in the current ball. And then I also do have the pattern here in the bag as well. So I have my whole little thing. Here is the pattern. I just think it's so pretty. I think it's so, so pretty. And I've never done anything like this. You can see how much that opens up after blocking that ribbing. So even though it looks very scrunched up right now, I think it's going to open up beautifully and it's going to just be stunning. So I do have like my handy dandy Post-its. So I should be able to know where I am. Yep, past the yoke. Divide for body and sleeves. Yep, I've done that. Okay. So now, yeah, we're repeating the stitch repeat rounds until this is as long as I want it to be, and then we're putting on sleeves. Okay. So I think those are two really, really great projects for me to take with me. This one is going to be a little bit more brainy, and the, what's it called? Promiscuous Stripes is going to be more brainless, easy. So I'm really happy with those two projects. I think that my little die has done me good. Oh, I need to put a little marker on this one. So let's put a little yoga cat. We'll put a little yoga cat on here and mark where we are. And I will just put this right on the last stitch I knitted. All right. Little yoga cat. Super cute. All right, so I think that's a really, really great choice. And next time I talk to you, I will report back on how we are doing with those two projects. All right, so I think we are as caught up as we're going to be for today. There is one other thing that I wanted to do. We'll do this each time we talk, and that is to check out what the week ahead is going to bring us. This is the Knitter's Oracle. I am not sponsored by any of these people I'm talking about, by the way. These are just cool things that I have found. But this is Wild Hunt Designs. I think they're still around. I got these on Etsy forever ago. But this is the Knitter's Oracle, and it has all sorts of fun cards that will show you knitty things that are just, they're so fun. They're so fun. So let's take a little shuffle and see what the week ahead is going to bring us. If I can get my hands around them, they're pretty stiff still. All right, let's see. Do they feel good? Is this the right, are they in the right order? What's happening? Where is the right one for me to pick? All right, let's go with this one. You get to see it before I can. So it is the pom-pom. Creativity, imagination, emotion, and desire. So I hope that this week ahead, before we talk again, brings you creativity, imagination, positive emotion, we'll go there, and desire. So we will put this on our little stand that we have here for our little card, and we will put that on the shelf until the next time we speak. I realize that's out of camera range. We'll try to fix that for next week. All right, so I think that's all I have for you today. I'm so happy to be talking to you again. I have missed you. I genuinely have missed talking to you. I've had so much to say, and there's so much more I could keep going with, but for now, I'm gonna say I hope you have a wonderful week ahead until we speak again. Yeah, until we do, keep making magic with sticks and string. Bye.